gentlemen, vet talks, dick, liberty, all things American. Who do we have on the show today?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show today, Miss Natasha Azari. Now, the reason Natasha Azari is on the show today is because I've been watching her become a rising star in our community beautification project here in Florida, Volusia County. She's been putting up beautiful murals and doing engagements with public activities and TBI survivors and March for TBI and different organizations where she's giving back to the community. She's using art as a form of therapy and as a form of teaching. It's been amazing to watch her journey progress. She's the founder of the Save the Arts movement. And I just wanted to share her story because I know there's a lot of veterans who ask about art therapy and things that can benefit them. And I want to highlight how easy it actually is to follow your dream. So without further ado, Natasha, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell me and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, the Save the Arts movement, and how that came to be.
Okay, a little bit about myself, which is the hardest thing to answer because I don't like talking about myself, but I will do my very best to say that I am very ambitious. I'm a go-getter. When I say I'm going to do something, I am going to do it. And if it's challenging, I will find a way to meet that need, that goal. I have been creative all my life since growing up. I have been I've been painting my whole life. I've been wanting to do something bigger with my art. And over the years, it was a process in figuring out what I wanted to do with it, not only for myself, but in serving my community and how to get people involved. So,
Okay. Can I ask you a question then? You've been doing
yeah.
this all your life. Did your painting stem from a type of trauma, or was it something that you just had a natural inclination to do?
Oh, great question. It started off as a natural inclination, and I believe it was a little bit of trauma as well. And from what I can remember, it had something to do with not being able to effectively express myself through words. And I felt like I had a gift to express it through another outlet, which I had discovered painting, drawing as a kid, and it made me feel good. So when I was able to do that, I felt like I was able to get what was inside of me out of my system. And I was not aware of that reason until over the years. I look back at it now and I realize, oh, okay, so maybe verbal articulation is not my very best way to express how I feel, what goes on, and all the crevices of my thoughts. But through painting, through drawing, I noticed that when I am able, that I feel a deep relief of, like, I hear myself. My soul finally feels heard.
So it's actually a way that you can hear yourself and resolve your issues that way, huh?
Right, right. Because sometimes I have a lot of difficulty in mustering up the words that I'm trying to, let's say, name my emotion or describe how I feel, even when it comes to talking to people generally. What comes out starts within, right? So I have also difficulty doing that within myself, my inner dialogue. So it's much more clear to me.
It's much more clear.
Yeah, much more clear much more clear to me as far as able to paint whatever subject comes out of my soul. Whatever colors I use has to do with the colors of my inner frequency, vibration, and depending on also the subject that I'm painting, the subject that I'm sketching out, it's a form of like poetry, being able to express myself in a way that words can't describe. Like, there's some things that we feel at times we can't put a name on it or no words yet exist for it. And it's one of those things that, when as I'm painting, as I'm creating, it's what comes out without having the pressure to put a specific existing name on it, but more of a like a spiritual ear.
How much therapeutic practice have you seen your art applied to, and how it's grown the way that it has through Save the Arts movement?
Oh my gosh, a lot, a lot, a lot. And I never realized how much of an impact it would have until I've been on this journey. For example, I'll give you a true story. I was painting a mural at the LPGA bridge. And as I was painting, there was this woman that approached me and she said, I walk by here every single day because it keeps me sane to look at your artwork and what you guys are doing. And I was like, oh, tell me more. And she said, well, I am suicidal. I've been suicidal. And the reason why she comes out to walk by the artwork is because it gives her a piece of calmness, this feeling that makes her feel good inside to look at. And it blew me away. And she said, we need more of this in our city. And I don't know where it would have been at this point if it wasn't for her seeing the artwork. I thought she was just gassing up, but I had to take her word for it. And she
What a
said,
powerful impact that is. That's such a powerful impact. Now
I
you said
know.
painting the LPGA bridge.
Mhm.
How that's a city and county owned property, right? How did you get involved in being able to beautify the city? Because I know we all need it for sure, and it is definitely therapeutic. How did you get into that process? Can you explain that to an aspiring artist or an aspiring muralist who wants to positively contribute?
Sure. Like generally or specifically gotten permission by the city, which way? Like just generally, like being able to put out public art.
It's your story, yes. What worked for
Oh,
you?
okay, okay. I mean, if it's generally, you start off small, and no matter how small it is, like for example, I started off by volunteering to paint on my friend's bathroom is how I started. So I don't know if I told you before, but I used to be a preschool teacher, and I love my job, love doing what I do, but there was just a missing piece to it. And at that time, um, that was back in 2016. I felt called to go on this manifestation journey, and I was learning about the mechanisms of manifestation and such. So my soul was really drawn to doing something more, and I know I'm doing something more by being a teacher's assistant to these for these kids. And I was reading a book, and the book was called Leveraging the Universe by Mike Dooley. And I was getting to know about the mechanisms of manifestation. So, throughout some point in the book, I realized for me to find that missing niche that I wanted to reconnect with. By the way, I had taken before I keep going, I had taken a break for many years since being a teenager to 2017 from not painting anything, of not being in touch with art at all, because my life steered a whole different direction, got distracted and forgot. Anyway, so I had this powerful flashback of going back as a child and remembering I stood in front of my elementary school, and I remember starting the dialogue in my head and telling myself, when I grow up, I'm going to be an art teacher. And I remember that. And I thought to myself, like it came right back so quick. And this was like while the kids were taking a nap, and I had all this time, this silent free time for myself while reading a book and pondering about it. And then I told myself, that's it, art. Now, I had to really go deep in there and I had to figure out what it was that meant to me. And so I thought, what could I do with my art? and how could I serve the community with it? So murals came to my head. I was like, okay, I can bring this into a larger scale and I can start sharing this with the community. So I volunteered at my friend's bathroom to paint the mural. He allowed me to paint two murals in his house. And I started off with little acrylic paints. I barely had any money to buy professional material. So
And that's
even if
how Save the Arts was born, huh?
yeah, that's when it was born, and I realized how amazing the whole process was, and I was just so diligent, focused, and determined to get this done so I can, you know, feel proud, so I can feel proud of what I'm capable of doing. Once I did that, I posted it on social media, and I was able to share that. You know, that was the first step to sharing it with the community. And once I did that, the word started going around effortlessly, naturally. It was just the beginning of planting a seed. Forgive me if I'm going off track. I'm not sure if I really am, but I won't be upset if you tell me I'm going off track. But anyway, um,
Yeah, so you planted your seed and it's bloomed. And did you, how
mhm.
much working went into that? Like, how did we get to the city piece and how did you get involved in the beautification? Because I know you've worked with Heart Space Art, you've worked with other various artists, and you guys have been stretching this beautification project all the way from Central Florida up to Jacksonville. I know that you've also been incorporating the teaching with the children, and you yourself personally have been helping those who are less fortunate and disabled as well on the side. And that in and of itself is an art. So how has Save the Arts been able to do all of those things and achieve that networking and that
You mean
beautiful?
how it started to get there?
Yeah, what was the key thing that started? Was it you believing in yourself? Was it someone,
Yeah,
made a connection for you?
yes, it was. I had this surge, this desire to wanting to take it to the next level by getting the community involved because I didn't want to make it all about myself. It's one thing when I'm painting a mural successfully, getting all these mural jobs, and it's just me painting it. But you know, the satisfaction with doing something that you love for your own personal fulfillment can only go so far, depending what it is. And you know, to me, since I'm driven by contributing to the community. That's my one of my main six human needs, right? Uh, it, it came to me naturally to want to start getting people involved, and I think the seed got planted in me the day that when I was working on the LPGA, the other side of LPGA Bridge, where I got Anya Amador and Taylor Renee and Tasha Roth to collaborate with me on that. Somebody approached me and asked, can we, how can we get involved in something like this? You know, and, you know, when you're already at a point where you own a business and you know, and your clients are trusting you to deliver what it says, that you say what you're going to do. I didn't just want to hand it over to the artwork responsibility to anybody because, you know, there's a specific process of the mock-up proposal you got to deliver, and not everybody's, you know, able to get it exactly the way you told your client the way you're going to do it. So that's when that seed got planted, and I told myself, okay, well, how about doing a community mural where I could do a paint by number, uh, for people to get involved in, and I do the layout sketch on the wall, and people come in and they start painting, matching the labeled paint that that's connected to the numbers that are labeled to the sketch piece on the wall there. And I thought, okay, this would be a great way to get the community involved for something so simple that children and adults can even do, because there's instruction and structure there with that piece there.
I've seen how you do that at events, and you bringing that up, I want to ask, do you think you and your collaborative artists would be willing to teach any veterans who might have an interest to becoming a muralist, like provide some sort of therapy art class for them, so to speak, and teach them how they could go through this process so that they themselves could contribute back and add to the beautification of their cities or where they're at, and help with their families, like family things come together, and teaching the kids for that? Would you have an
Mm.
interest in something like that?
Yeah, I did want to add something before that, because I meant to say something, then I got a little bit off track. If that's okay, then I can answer that question. I was going to say that, and one of the ways Save the Arts movement got started was not only just me. James White from Trees of Life, he was a big part in helping me get this started too, because of the logistics that he uh, is very good in, and I'm very good in the creative aspect of it. So, he's helped me work with cities and bring in these deals there. So I just wanted to, mention that in there as well. So that was a big part of that journey. And so to answer your question, sorry, because I don't want to go too far, but I wanted to give proper credit where credit was due. And, um, answer your question, yes, absolutely. Be very open to doing that, and bringing in children, teens, adults of all ages to come in and participate in doing a community mural.
Now, before we wrap, I got to wrap this show up, and before we get out of here, I want to ask you one critical question. How did you get awarded a mural from the city so that you could fulfill this dream of Save the Arts movement?
Well, it started off by doing the legal paperwork process. All I had to do was um, walk in, propose my idea, and then follow up with the meeting. And what I did was I went in the meeting with James, and he helped me verbally close the deal with the funds. And after that, we were able to move forward in getting the check. And from there, I got the materials, everything I needed with that. So it was just a lot of paperwork and meetings. That's it.
It was just a lot of paperwork for the meeting.
Yeah, and showing them what I will deliver.
So you
As
had to show them proof of concept, and you had to show them exactly what it was going to cost. And because they have this money awarded to them prior to that, and they're looking for some artists like you to beautify their city, correct? So that's the portion they decided to pay you from that money, correct?
right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I've seen your work in the community. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of that work in the community. So thank you for having me there. And, before we go, I want to say, is there anything left that you would like to talk about with Save the Arts Movement, Natasha Azari, and the Azari Art Project? Because I heard rumor you have something else going on.
Um, what was that? Refresh my mind with what's going on, because I have a bunch of things that are coming up that are coming. I don't
What
want to
are the
leave
ones that you
anything out.
want to talk about? Like what's coming
Oh,
up forward, and anything you want to share for you before we close out this show?
oh,
I heard something about
oh,
200.
not really, except for I started recently a YouTube video project called Azari Project. And I know we brought up the one question 200 musician. It was about getting 200, but I got over 200 musicians, 300 something, to answer one question. And the question is supposed to bring about vulnerability.
Sounds exciting.
Right? And so, after talking about Modest Yahoo, the last person that I had asked the question to, he did something that stood out amongst all the other musicians who has answered the question. And he just got the camera and put me right on the spot. And I just I learned so much from that. I have learned that position I have put these musicians in, which is getting them off guard with that one question vulnerably, has put me in their shoes to understand how they felt when I had put him on the spot with that question. So it was a very interesting social experience, and I learned a lot about myself and my traumas with that. So it helped me see people in a different light. Like there's a lot more that goes on deep deeper than what we know, especially when it comes to interacting with people. We just have something that we're very familiar and have in common with, and that's just the fear of like a certain fear of being exposed to some extent, but then knowing that we all share those same qualities, it makes perfect sense to feel like we are human and having a human experience. I don't want to go off track with, but
Well, thank you so much for letting us know about that. And for
yeah,
those, we're definitely put that link down in the description so that you can go check that out as well. I want to
right.
thank
I wanted to. Oh, I'm sorry, because
you.
I got off track with the reason why I did that movie is to I want to help people have a voice to be able to share their own personal experiences. So I I do some small episodes where I just ask them one vulnerable question, make a compilation of all their answers, and just giving them the room to express themselves with answering that question allows them to feel like they can be heard and let something off their chest if needed. Something that allows them to feel like
I got, I
they're
got, I got, I got one thing, not to cut you off, but I got one thing that I think would make an amazing project that may go hand in hand with the teaching veterans the how to master the mural mastery class, I guess we could say.
love
Uh,
it.
I wonder how a project like that would look if you asked 200 veterans one question. And what is they tell you about what is something no one ever told you about serving your country or becoming a veteran? I think that
I
would
love
be a
that.
project. But
That would be amazing. And yes, I would love to get I would even love to do a mural with veterans involved, do an event based on that and have them come in to do a paint by number or even, regarding a video too. I can work on that episode separately and asking them a question and allowing them to express that answer. It's like a compilation of all their answers basically. So little short clip videos, being able to do that. But
what
yeah,
would I was
oh,
just
no,
saying,
no, I was just gonna say, like, there is something, related to the mural journey and even for the video journey for the veterans to get involved, and it could be impactfully healing, and
that's a
I
great
promise
word.
you, yeah, paint by number is something that anybody, even a child or somebody that never painted a stick figure could do. So I hope to get veterans involved in a project like this at some point, and it'd be healing.
Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for joining us on the show today. You've given us such a great information. You've actually stood up, and I'm glad because you're a woman who's standing up for the community and you're taking charge and you're showing us how it's done. And we appreciate that because this kind of knowledge you can't seem to buy anywhere. So thank you so much for being a part of the show and joining us today. Uh, we hope a bunch of success for Save the Arts Movement and the Azari Project, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it too. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.